So in this week's episode, I'm sharing with you the story of Shorty, the buck that I named Shorty, this buck right here. He was a 202-pound, 9-point buck that I shot with my bow and arrow on Halloween evening last year. And how I first learnt of this buck that I went on to call Shorty was I got a trail cam pic of him walking a dirt road. I had a camera that I placed on the access road in my hunting area. I got a pic of him there, and a week or so went by, I got another pic of him pre-rut amped up, and it was getting closer to the rut. I was getting more and more pictures of him, and there I had another trail camera on a mock scrape of mine, a mock licking branch I set up with a dripper and a mock scrape. I got pics of him on that camera, and he also hit that scrape. He scraped the ground, he hit that licking branch. I got several different pics of him at that mock licking branch of mine. And that was all at 2.5 years old. And then I got pictures of him on, I think, a third trail camera, all within like a 1 square mile radius area. I kind of had his home range figured out because of all my surrounding trail cameras. I never laid eyes on him. I never saw him in person, but I was getting those trail cam pics of him, and it helped me figure him out, learn of him. And he was a nice, handsome, good-looking, young 8-point buck. He went on to live to 3.5 years old into the following hunting season. And I just knew that he would follow the similar patterns, because all these pictures I was getting of Shorty on my trail cams were during the pre-rut and rut time of the year when the does were cycling into estrus. And I didn't know if you knew this, but if you keep year-to-year data, trail cam data, I'd start maybe recording it in a database. And you just, of all the bucks you're following and learning of in your hunting area, you can bet that they'll be back the following year in the same general area during the rut after those does that come in heat, come in estrus at that same time frame. Those bucks from the previous years are going to continue to return back to the same area year after year after year, as long as they're all still alive, as long as those does are still alive that come in heat at that same time frame, at that point, at that time of the season. And as long as those bucks that you've learnt of in your hunting area are still alive, they're going to return back to that same general area to find those does, to be seeking after those does that come in heat around that same time frame. And so it's helpful to keep year-to-year data of your deer in your hunting area and make plans for the upcoming hunting seasons. Take certain weeks off from work at that time frame when you know that that buck on your hit list comes around to chase and seek after those doe groups, so those does that come in heat at that general time frame in your hunting area. Take that time off work, take the time to put in your stand and your blind and sit all day and wait it out. Put in the time around that time frame, and you're going to fill tags that way. And so I just knowing what Shorty did the previous year, and that knowing that he hit my mock scrape at this kind of week time frame, it was pretty much the last couple days of October and leading into the first week of November, like the last 2 to 3 days of October and the whole first week of November. I got several pictures of Shorty at 2.5 years old hanging in this area, hanging around my does, my girls. I have a huge doe population. I have several different doe groups, a doe group of like 5 or 6 that live over here, 2 or 3 does and their yearlings that live over here, another doe group over there. I have a lot of does and a lot of different doe groups. But this particular area, Shorty liked. He hung around this certain part of my hunting area because of all the does that were there. And he was hitting my mock scrape, my mock licking branch. He was rubbing trees, laying down his own scrapes. He was frequenting this general area. So I made plans to hunt him the following year at 3.5 years old in the same general location. I went all of October hunting for Shorty and for another target buck of mine I named Curly. That's a whole nother story. But I was after two particular bucks, Shorty and Curly. They were my two target bucks, my two main bucks that I was hoping to get my tag on. And I went all of October not seeing any bucks, no shooter bucks, passing some does and younger bucks. And it wasn't till the last week of October that activity was heating up. And how I figured out Shorty, how I went on to ultimately figuring him out, figuring out his whereabouts, and how I went about making a game plan on killing Shorty was I went into my hunting area, putting boots on the ground. I did a scouting excursion, scouting trip, and I went to areas with lots of dirt and mud, areas where he frequented, where the does frequented. I went to doe feeding areas, and I found his tracks. I found Shorty's big, heavy hoofed, big, wide, long, heavy hoofed tracks in the mud and dirt, right in this like clover, grassy field-like area where the does were feeding and frequented. And I found Shorty's tracks. And then I went and pulled some SD cards. Excuse me. And then I went to pull some SD cards out of a couple of my trail cameras nearby. And I took them back home, put the SD cards in the computer, and I studied all my trail cam pics I got. And I got a pic of Shorty coming into the field after dark, though. But then I was scrolling through the photos on the SD card on my computer, and I get another pic of him about 3 or 4 days later. And I keep scrolling, and I get another one of him in 4 or 5 days. He was about every 3 to 4 or every 3 to 5 days, Shorty was coming back around to this trail camera, tripping this trail camera in this general location. And then about several hundred yards, barely a quarter of a mile away from the trail camera on a field in a different clearing, a different doe feeding area, I saw his tracks. So from the trail cam pics I got of him and from his tracks, I had a general idea of his location, of his whereabouts, where he was spending the majority of his time. So I knew to go to my rut stand. I have a tree stand set up on this point of timber on the edge of an old clear cut, watching a clearing, a big shooting lane heading towards a field. So this tree stand set up in a perfect spot where there's all kinds of intersecting deer trails coming this way, a whole bunch of trails coming from all different directions. And it's right on the point of woods, watching my mock licking branch 30 yards to my left. And I can see the field in front of me about 40 yards away. I'm watching the edge of the field. And the deer trails come off of that field, coming down the clearing in front of my stand, right to my stand and under my stand. And I have the trail going under my mock licking branch and over my mock scrape to my left. And I have the trail going left to right behind me on the edge of the cutting, the old 3 to 5 year old clear cut behind me. All kinds of intersecting trails all over the place. So I'm on the edge of an old cutting. I'm watching the edge of a field, and I'm watching my mock scrape, mock licking branch. I call it my rut stand. This tree stand location is dynamite. It's a hot spot at this time of year during the heavy seeking and chasing phase of the rut, that pre-rut time phase where the bucks are chasing does and grunting, almost grunting every step. And they're just chasing does around, harassing does. And it's also a stand that's great for the peak rut, leading into the peak of the rut when the majority of the does start coming in estrus. There's a lot of does around here. I've got doe bedding area, a couple different doe bedding areas behind the stand. One over here in this cedar alder like swamp, tamarack swamp like area over here. There's a doe bedding area to the left of the stand, and another more doe bedding area up on the ridge further away. Doe bedding areas out in front, several hundred yards away in front of this stand. The stand is just in the middle of all kinds of doe bedding areas, and ultimately some buck hangouts, areas where the bucks come in and frequent and bed and hang, spend the majority of their time during the pre-rut time frame of the hunting season. So I call it my rut stand. And so having seen Shorty's tracks and having gotten those trail cam pictures, a light bulb went off my head. All this sign and data I was getting from trail cameras and tracks and sign I was seeing told me I needed to get into that stand, hunt that stand immediately. And so it was Halloween day. I was supposed to have taken my son trick-or-treating. We had gotten done trick-or-treating down Main Street, daytime, earlier trick-or-treating in downtown. And we came home. I was going to take a nap on the couch and then go trick-or-treating later in the evening with my family. But there was about an hour and a half of daylight remaining. And my son, he was old enough to stay home alone. I told him, I said, my gut feeling was telling me I just had to go hunt. I had to get into this rut stand. I wanted to. It was really bad. It was the last day of the Maine's regular archery season on deer. I had an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes left of daylight. It was only a 5-minute drive to this hunting area. And I knew I could get into the stand really quickly, within like 20 minutes. So I let Bryce know I was going to go hunt real quick, the last hour and a half or so of daylight. And I park my truck, and I'm getting out of the truck, and there's does immediately right there watching me. But these does, they're resident deer. They're used to me coming and going. They're used to me coming in and out of my truck. They didn't run away. They're used to me being there. I frequent this area. It's also an area where I work, an area where I frequent daily. And the deer, the resident deer, the deer that immediately live right there where their home range is right there, they're used to my truck, used to the sound of my truck, used to me coming and going, used to seeing me around that building where I parked. They didn't run away. So that was a good sign. The does were already there, hanging out, milling around. That was perfect. I was like, yes, man, my confidence level just went higher when I saw that there was already does right there. Grabbed my camera gear, my bow, all the gear, my tree harness, and I went right to the stand, got up in that stand, got settled in. It took like 10 minutes to get the camera set up and get all settled in. And I was in the stand 20 or more minutes, and I hear the grunting. And I look up, and I see Shorty chasing 2 does off to the right, and then he grunts some more. And then a few moments pass, and the does come running back this way to my left, and I hear grunting again, and Shorty right behind chasing the does this way. And then for some reason, I don't know why, they may have caught my scent. Maybe, I think my scent, the wind was blowing that way, a southeast wind blowing kind of towards my left. The does may have caught my scent, and they ran off. And Shorty might have caught my scent, and he bounded off to my right into the woods to my right. And that led me to my calling sequence, to me bleating, doe bleating, and doing some buck tendon grunting. And I went into that calling sequence. And then the rest is history. I got Shorty. I got Shorty. I got Shorty, guys. I got Shorty. I just shot Shorty. I just shot Shorty. I got Shorty. I got Shorty. I got Shorty, guys. I got Shorty. I just shot Shorty. I just shot Shorty. I got the shot with this point of view camera here. I got him coming in on this. He was chasing. He was chasing does and grunting over here. I just got a 10-yard shot. Quartered in. It's one of the best shots you can make. Quartered right in there, getting all the good stuff. The main camera, I couldn't get the main camera on. Screw the main camera. He come. Oh, I don't know what to say. I got Shorty, everybody. I got Shorty. Oh, thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you. Thank you, Dad. Oh my word. I just lost my father about a month ago. Bless his soul. I had to bury my father just this past weekend, past Saturday. And God bless. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for all your blessings upon me and my family. And I know my father's in heaven now. He's in a better place. No more suffering. My father had COPD and kidney failure. And he was just suffering. And he's in a better place now. No more suffering. Jesus is the way, the life, and the truth. And he will be reunited. His spirit and body will be reunited through resurrection with God. And Jesus, he's in heaven now. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for Shorty. Thank you, Dad, for Shorty. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Heavenly Father and thank my dad, Raymond. Thank you, Ray, my dad. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for Shorty. Thank you for giving me Shorty. Yes. A beautiful 3.5-year-old Maine buck, 9-pointer. Just a brute of a deer for Maine. A 3.5-year-old, a mature 9-point buck. That's gonna weigh up, got a really big-bodied, heavy rack. Just thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you, Dad. Now it is, see it?
Record, okay, there you
I don't know if it's in focus, but...
go. You bet.
Alright.
How do you focus it?
Oh. Well, we can start over. You see me better with that one?
Yeah, that's way better.
Oh man, he's heavy. Whew. So I gave this buck the name Shorty because last year he was a little shorter. His points were barely 2 inches long. And he might have been 18 inches wide inside. And this year I think he's almost 20 inches wide with a few extra inches on his points. And he grew into a 9-pointer. He come out in front of me, walked straight in front of my stand. And I froze. I was frozen with the bow like this. Not moving an inch. Just telling myself, talking to myself, don't move, don't move, don't move. And I let him walk by me. And he got quartering away. And he put his head down so he didn't see me move, and I was able to draw my bow. And I shot him. Here's the arrow back here. Shot him quartering away at 10 yards, and it went in and got liver and lungs. And he probably went 80 yards or so. But it was about a month ago, I think, that I lost my father. My father passed away. and I had to bury my father just this past Saturday. So it was a very sad moment for my family and me. And all I asked for was just that my dad pushed one of these big bucks my way. And I can't thank God, my Heavenly Father, and my real Father enough. I mean, Jesus is the way, the life, and the truth, and I firmly believe my dad, Ray, is in heaven, and that his spirit and body will reunite through resurrection because of our beloved elder brother Jesus. And this is truly a blessing. It really is. I can't thank God enough for all the blessings He's bestowed upon me and my family. And I know my dad, Ray, is not suffering anymore. He had a lot of ailments. He was suffering greatly for the last couple of years with all of his ailments. And I know he's in a better place, and I thank God for that. And I thank the animal, the beast, the mighty beast himself. Thank you, Shorty. Look how beautiful he is, guys. That is a gorgeous animal. That is a beautiful. Just have seen him walking straight my way, and with the sun was setting behind me, so the lighting on him was just out of this world because the sun was behind me, illuminating him, all of his colors and features, and it was one of the greatest sights that I've ever seen in my life. This is probably my second, might be my heaviest buck. I don't know if he might be my heaviest white-tailed deer, but he's not the biggest rack. This will be the second biggest racked buck I've ever shot in my life. Also with a bow, my biggest racked buck, antlered buck, I shot with a bow too many years ago. So this is by far, if not my largest bodied, weight-wise deer, definitely my second largest racked buck I've ever shot. So I can't be more happy. That's awesome.
Lift him up and get a side view of him, Justin.
Do a side view?
Yeah, kind of.
Like this? Get down. Maybe get. Is it still recording?
Yeah.
Can you see good in that? Is it showing better?
Yeah. It's not a bad
I'll
side
do some
view.
stuff later. I gotta get him field dressed and cooled down.
All right.
I gotta give my phone to someone, do some quick pictures, then I gotta get to gutting. Look at that. Yeah. I can probably take the camera, or you can just hold it. Do your stuff.
How do you stop it?
All right, everybody. So that's the story of Shorty, of the buck I called Shorty, of how I met him, how I learned of him, how I figured him out, how I hunted him, and how I ultimately was able to kill him with my bow on Halloween Day. A 202-pound Maine 9-point buck. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, could you smash that like button for me before you go? Subscribe to Spikes and Gills if you're not already. I greatly appreciate the extra support and follow. Definitely click the notification bell so you'll be notified of all future uploads by Spikes and Gills. So smash that like button. Definitely subscribe. You can leave your comments below. Definitely, I'd love to hear from all of you. Drop some comments below. I'd love to converse back and forth with you. Every Monday night, Spikes and Gills goes live, 9 to 10. In the description below all of my YouTube videos, I have the PayPal links for my 2 books, Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets. This book is a 5-section book on bear hunting, deer hunting, coyote hunting, fox hunting, bobcat hunting. There's interviews that I did with state of Maine biologists, interviews with other hunters. Those stories are in here in this book, and my hunting experiences are in this book. It's like a great coffee table book. It's packed and loaded with photos. It's a 5-section book on bear hunting, deer hunting, coyote hunting, fox hunting, bobcat hunting. I'm going to later on do a volume 2 of Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets. That will be about deer hunting and bear hunting and moose hunting and turkey hunting. So yeah, the Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets. The PayPal link to order this book is in the description below. Then the Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You. This is a great book to hone your skills in tracking and awareness. This book isn't a hunting book per se, but it's a book that will help anyone who reads it become more woods wise, and it helps expound on your woodsmanship skills. It's all about why I wrote this book is to help anyone want to run to the nearby forest, find their favorite spot in the nearby forest, nearby mountains, find that sit spot, that place where you can go to sit and just sit in peace and just take it all in. Take in all your surroundings. Listen to the birds and the critters around you. Watch and observe all the wildlife around you. Hence the title, The Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You. This book will help you develop your woodsmanship skills. There's chapters in here about tracking and chapters in here about awareness, about listening to the birds and listening to the bird calls and the different calls that they make, why they make the calls they do. Chapters in here about the eccentric rings that are caused by the slightest disturbance in the forest and what that all means. This book, why I wrote this book, my motivation to write this book, The Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You, was because of my advanced wood survival course I took with Michael Douglas, who learned all of his skills from Tom Brown Jr., who ultimately learned his skills from an Apache Indian he called Grandpa. Tom Brown Jr. is known as the Tracker from the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. And Michael Douglas from Maine here, he took Tom Brown Jr.'s courses and his advanced courses and stuff and learned his skills from him. And I took a course from Michael Douglas, an advanced wood survival course. And that everything I learned from that motivated me to writing this book, The Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You. So yeah, my 2 books, Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets, and The Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You. The PayPal links to order any one of these books or both books are in the description below all of my YouTube videos. Then obviously there's the shopping icon that you can click on to browse my shirts and hoodies for Spikes and Gills. And definitely smash that like button before you go and subscribe to Spikes and Gills and click the notification bell so you'll be notified of all future uploads. I greatly appreciate that support and follow everybody. So I'll see you in the next episode.